And welcome back to Philly Sports Spotlight. Our guest tonight is radio talk show host Artie Clear from the Joyner, that's Seth Joyner and the Clear in the Morning show. And Artie, the Phillies, well, they're getting ready to come north for the season opener next week. They open up against Atlanta. I want to get your thoughts on the team this year. And, you know, they talked about how great a pitching staff they have, but right now there was some concerns down in Clearwater about Doc. What are your thoughts on Doc?
Boy, it's really a hard one to give you on Doc Holliday. I know he had the flu, and I know he wasn't feeling well. He's topping out at 87 miles an hour. And he has to throw harder than that to be effective. I'm hoping that the spring training is just spring training. He comes north, and he pitches better. He's the key to the Philadelphia Phillies is Doc Holliday, because you have Cliff Lee and Hamels will start the opener, but they need those big three to pitch, especially in the division they're in. They need Holliday to perform like Roy Halladay. So if he can go, say, get 15 to 17 wins for the Phillies and lose less than 10, then he'll have himself a good year. He was injured last year. This year he comes back. But if he's at 87 miles an hour and not at 91, he won't be nowhere near effective as he would be at 91. So the jury's out, but it could help him.
Now, you talked about injured. He was injured last year. Injuries seem to have been plaguing this Phillies team for the last couple of years. The first baseman, the big bopper, of course. He came back at the end of last year. Your thoughts on Ryan? He's actually had a fairly decent spring.
I like Ryan Howard. When he is healthy, he can carry a baseball team for more than 1 month on his back. He's a guy who had 58 home runs, 148 RBIs. The year before he got hurt, 33 home runs, 116 RBIs. He can definitely help your team. And you lose your four-hitter or your three-hitter like Chase Utley, they need them guys to be healthy for them to have any chance at all. Ryan Howard has to be healthy through the whole season for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Okay, now the other guy on this team that all the ladies like is Cole Hamels and this guy, Chase Utley. You just mentioned Chase Utley. Here's another guy, injury. I mean, he's a big part of what's going to happen this year. He's got to stay healthy. Probably won't play a lot of games, but if he can contribute, this team could go somewhere.
Chase Utley being the power hitter at second base, they get 135 games out of Chase Utley. They'll be very happy. Let's not forget his glove and the combination of Jeremy Reynolds and Chase Utley, how they work together. Utley can hit. He'll hit home runs for the Philadelphia Phillies. He'll drive in runs. The table setters get on base. And here comes Chase Utley and Ryan Howard. If those two guys stay healthy, Phil, then there's a really good chance that the Philadelphia Phillies could do something special this year.
Now, you talked about that middle infield, Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins. Here's my question to you. For the last couple of years, Jimmy Rollins, J-Row, has been the clubhouse leader, the leader of this team. Is he still the leader of this Philly squad?
Most definitely, yes, he's still the leader of this Philadelphia Phillies squad. And let's not forget Michael Young coming from Texas, who's a professional hitter playing third base for him. He's also a leader, and he'll help that clubhouse. But Jimmy Rollins is definitely the leader of the Philadelphia Phillies.
So, knock on wood, everybody stays healthy. This is a team you think, I mean, obviously Washington is a team to beat in this division, and they say that the Mets, Atlanta and the Mets. Phillies could still be there, right? Maybe a wild card?
I think that it can come down to maybe the last 2 weeks of the season where Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Washington would be fighting it out. And if that is the case, then the horses that we have, the big three of Hamels, Lee, and Halladay, with their experience, can put the Phillies over the top, and you can see them winning the division. I know that Washington got Soriano, they got Danny Herron out there, they made a trade with Mike Morse, and he brought others along. But the Phillies pitching, now they have Adams in the bullpen, and Papelbon, and Pistardo. With this type of team, if they get the pitching and some hitting, that's why they brought Michael Young in. Philadelphia Phillies can win that division, Phil.
Yeah, well, the pressure's off of them coming north because people don't expect them to win the division, but whatever they do is icing on top of the cake. Okay, let's shift gears a minute, okay? We'll talk Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm just going to throw one name at you, and I want you to go off on what you feel about this. You ready? Andrew Bynum.
Oh, my goodness. Andrew Bynum, third worst trade the Philadelphia 76ers ever made. Number one, they gave Moses Malone away, and number two, they gave Wilt Chamberlain away, and number three, they gave almost their whole team away. They lose Vucevic, who's a double-double guy. They lose Andre Iguodala, who's Denver's playing great. They're going to contend for a title. They lose their first-round draft pick and another first-round draft pick on top of everything else. So right now, Andrew Bynum and Jason Richardson, who was in that deal, he's hurt for the year, and Bynum hasn't stepped 1 foot on the court and will be a free agent this coming year. So the Sixers, with that $17 million they gave to him, is all blown up money. You can buy whatever you want, but how could they do something like that and not know the guy who was on it. It's just like
They were
Jeff
hoping.
rolling all over.
Because
the
he
time.
had played at the end of the previous year, and they thought that maybe they would give him something. And you saw the video of Bynum there. That was the Sixers media. I shot that on Sixers Media Day. That was the first and last time that we saw him actually in a Sixers uniform. Question is, should Doug Collins keep his job?
Well, that's a tough question. I think he should keep his job because they depleted the team. They took Lou Williams away from the team also. Jody Meeks is out in L.A., and they really gave him nothing back in return. And that's why the Bynum trade is so bad, because they got nothing back. There's not one player that they got back in there that they can suit up and say, hey, this guy can help us. Bynum deal is a killer type of deal for the Sixers. And for Doug Collins, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a good coach, and sometimes he gets a little crazy, but I like him as the coach, and he'll bring the fans out. I think he stays.
All right, this one's for you. Is there a doctor in the house? Julius could probably come back right now and give you more than Bynum did, right?
Most
Absolutely, because
definitely.
he'd at least play.
He can suit up at least.
He'd at least play. All right, listen, we're going to take another break. You're doing great right now. This is what you can expect on Artie's show, too. When we return, we're going to talk football, which means Chip Kelly and the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see what Artie has to say about some of the moves made in this offseason. Stay tuned. Well, tonight's guest on Philly Sports Spotlight is radio talk show host Artie Clear. And with that said, we welcome one of his right-hand men, if you will, Peter Vassalli. He's also part of that now Joyner and Clear in the Morning Show.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much for coming by and
Thanks
hanging
for
out with
having
us. I know you've been over there watching Artie. How'd Artie do? He did a good job?
He did all right.
Yeah, he did all right.
Never gives me
He's
credit.
Well, listen, Peter, we saved this segment for you because we hear you're quote-unquote the man when it comes to this stuff, okay? We're going to talk Eagles and a little Flyers at the end. Okay, with that
I'm
said,
here for you.
With that said, let's get right to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I want both of your thoughts on the new head coach. You know, it was time for Andy to leave. Did they make the right choice in bringing in Chip Kelly? Be careful. You know what the deal is here, okay?
Okay, I'll go first. I think that Andy Reid is gone. He's in Kansas City, and Chip Kelly is the new guy in Philadelphia. I like it. They'll change the makeup of the Philadelphia Eagles. New personnel coming in there, gut the coaching staff. And I think for the Philadelphia Eagles and for the fans, change is good at this point. Andy's been here for a long time, and really in the last couple of years have done nothing with the Eagles. In fact, they went backwards. With Chip, they can go forward, a new regime, new coaches, new players. It could be really good for the Philadelphia Eagles bringing Chip Kelly in. He's a young guy. He comes from college. He knows all those college players, so they have an advantage with the draft. I like Chip Kelly as the Eagles coach.
Peter, speaking of new players, this week the Phillies signed a new player, didn't they? Who was that player that they signed?
The Eagles.
Oh, the Eagles, I know. See, I'm jumping. The Eagles signed the new player? That new player was?
This week was Donnie
Jones.
Jones. Yeah.
And he is a Pro Bowl.
All-Pro punter.
All-Pro. A punter, okay.
Yeah, All-Pro punter from Houston Texans.
So
He's been around the league for a while, though. 2004, he came in, was drafted by the St. Louis Rams.
So they're leaving no stone unturned, obviously. Now we're working on their special teams. And by the way, they like getting players from the Houston Texans, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not pluck from winners? And that's something that we haven't seen them do in the past. Now you're seeing them go from the Texans and the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. And this is something that will help the team. You get guys that have been proven winners, guys that have rings, guys that have been to the big dance. You've seen them go and get Nnamdi from Oakland.
He came from a losing team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's small markets that haven't been proven to succeed.
Well, here's the one thing that people are still concerned about when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, they got the 4th pick coming up in the draft in April, overall in the first round. Quarterback. This team still needs a quarterback, and right now it looks like Michael Vick is your guy. How do you feel about one more year with Michael Vick under the center?
I love it. I mean, it's a great move what they did with his contract when they restructured, because there wasn't a whole lot of options for them to go out and get somebody for the future. He was due a lot of money this year. You take his salary, you cut it in almost a fifth, and he's here for 1 year. It's incentive-based. So now he's playing for reason. You know, this is a guy that's been hurt every single year of his career except one. Now he's got a reason to try and stay healthy.
For me, Michael Vick is the choice to run Chip Kelly's option type of offense. And Michael Vick has a chance to prove himself. Now, I've talked to Ron Jaworski at the Maxwell Club, and Ron loves the pick of Michael Vick also being with the Eagles. And let me say this to you. If he does have a good year this year, Phil, they're willing to sign him to a 2-year deal after this year if he can stay healthy and take the Eagles to maybe the playoffs. Now, his contract is incentive-laden. He's like $7 million he's going to get for sure. But $1 million is if he gets to the Super Bowl, and another $1 million is if he plays 90% of the plays. It's really a $7 million contract he has for 1 year. And for Chip Kelly, Michael Vick could be the man.
Well, then where does that leave the kid from Arizona, Nick Foles? I mean, what's the deal with Nick?
Nick Foles is a guy who can play backup quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, but also he knows the Eagles' offense of Andy Reid. He doesn't know Chip Kelly's offense. There's a good chance that if Michael Vick plays good for the Philadelphia Eagles, that they'll trade him, and Nick Foles' future will be with another team.
Now let's talk about this. Let's just double back a little bit. We talked about them having the 4th pick in the first round, and people talk about, are they going to get Geno Smith? Will they go after Geno Smith? Some people like that idea, some people don't. You each have your own different ideas of who they should pick with that pick. You go first, Artie.
Well, I've said on my show the whole time that I like Dean Milner, the cornerback out of Alabama. But if they don't take Milner, let them take Jordan from Oregon. At least Chip knows that player. He played for Chip before. They went to a 3-4 linebacker defensive ends, and I like the 3-4. They got 3 linebackers. They just signed Connor Barwin. You got D'Amico Rhymes there. You got Michael Kendricks. And now if they can get Deion Jordan, that will solidify their linebacker core, and that could be a good move for the Philadelphia Eagles taking Jordan.
Who would you like to see them pick?
This is an area where I definitely agree with Artie on Deion Jordan. Deion Jordan's familiar with Chip Kelly's system, and the beauty of that is you've got teams that would be willing to trade with the Eagles. You look at a team like Buffalo who needs a quarterback and would be interested in Geno Smith. You swap 4 for 8, and then you pick up 2 picks in the 2nd round. You get Deion Jordan with the 8th pick, and then all of a sudden you have all sorts of options in the 2nd round where you can go after another safety, somebody that's not proven to be injured. You can possibly go after a big-time wide receiver, a tall guy.
Or maybe in the 2nd round you get the quarterback from Florida State.
E.J. Manuel.
Okay, now, enough with the Eagles, okay? Because this is going to be drawn out. I mean, we've got the draft and minicamp coming up. This is in your wheelhouse, okay? We waited for these guys to kiss and make up. We're talking about the NHL players and the owners. They kissed and made up, and the Flyers gave us nothing this season. It's very hard not to make the playoffs in the NHL, and they're in that situation right now.
They're as close as they're going to come to not making the playoffs. And any day now, you can pretty much scratch them off. And their problems start with the top. You have to turn and look at Paul Holmgren. This is a guy that blew the team up 2 seasons ago, sent the meat of their talent out of town, and one went to Columbus, one went to L.A. Jeff Carter ends up in L.A. with Mike Richards, and they bring home a cup, along with Simone Gagne and another former Flyer, Justin Williams. This is disheartening to see because we haven't seen the return. Initially, it seemed like the Flyers got the solid end of the stick when they picked up Braden Shen, who was supposed to be the highest-rated rookie coming in, and Wayne Simmons is probably the only bright spot that they have on this team right now. But they're not getting the return. You're not getting the production from Danny Briere anymore. Scott Hartnell is suffering, and that's a result clearly of losing Jaromir Jagr.
Well, listen, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming here today. I wish you both good luck on your show, which, by the way, is what now?
It's called Joyner and Clear in the mornings on WNJC from 7 to 9, the drive-by guys. Also, we're going to have Leonard Marshall be with us weekly, along with Chris Dolman of the Hall of Fame of the Celebrity Charitable Network. He's with us also. And then Mike North out of Fox, out of Chicago, he comes on our show with us. And a plethora of stars. The phones will be open. Seth will be here, answer all your questions.
I might even have to call in once in a while, okay? Thank you very much. Artie Clear, Peter Vasali, thank you very much for stopping by. Philly Sports Spotlight. Okay, no, thanks for coming by. I know you have to go over the bridge and pay that toll. You want money going back?
No, we're okay.
All right, listen, folks, we'll be back to wrap this show up, give you the answer to the trivia question right after our break. Temple's Khalif Wyatt dropped 31 points twice in 2 tournament games for the Owls, but it was still 30 points shy of the all-time single-game record held by Notre Dame's Austin Carr, who scored 61 against Ohio in the 1970 tournament. As we say goodbye, we'd like to thank our new sponsor, the Keswick Theater. Check out Living Color on April 4th and One Night of Queen on April 5th. Folks, that's going to do it for this edition of Philly Sports Spotlight. I'm Phil Andrews. We'll catch you next week.